In Texas, there was an appalling billboard that has called attention to an abominable practice that has been going on. And that was in the state of Texas, where there is some controversy brewing. We're talking about the hospital, the Mission Regional Medical Center. It was exposed by former Mexican-born Congresswoman Mayra Flores. Now Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling it out, conveniently enough. But President Donald Trump, it wants to send a message to the Supreme Court. Please revisit this issue. It is a threat to national security and the birth tourism industry. Well, it is in focus for the Congress, and there is some legislation that is on the table to make sure that we are not being threatened by foreign nationals who come to our country specifically to drop an anchor baby. But before we get into the story, please like, share, and comment at the Becker Brief. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Now, President Donald Trump is asking the Supreme Court to revisit that just earth-shattering ruling on birthright citizenship.
Got some breaking news out of Washington. President Trump just posting about birthright citizenship. Let's get back to Megan Pasella for the details. Megan.
Melissa, that's right. President Trump just posting on Truth Social that he will be immediately asking the Supreme Court to rehear the birthright citizenship case. Now, first the news, then a little bit of context. The president posting that American citizenship is not for sale. He says, in fact, that is a crime, and therefore the Supreme Court's ruling is wrong. I will be asking for a rehearing by the United States Supreme Court immediately. This miscarriage of justice will destroy America if they don't change their absolutely insane decision. Now, Melissa, a little bit of context around this. This is technically possible. The Supreme Court can agree to rehear a case, but it's exceedingly rare. It last happened in 1965. A majority of justices, including some that were in the majority on this decision, would have to agree to rehear the case. And usually this has to happen in some sort of specific set of circumstances. If there was, for example, a change in the law since the decision was made or something like that, the president simply not liking a decision on its own would not be grounds for the Supreme Court to rehear the case. So it's a long shot here, but the president clearly making his discomfort known with this ruling.
And the Supreme Court, it went back all the way to Blackstone's commentaries through the 14th Amendment, the Dred Scott case, through Wong Kim Ark ruling about the turn of the 20th century, 1898. And they have used this as a justification to say that in the jurisdiction thereof means the entire United States. And so foreigners who come here, even if they're subject to foreign governments, in other words, they're illegal aliens, well, they have the right to have children and they are automatically given citizenship. Now, one thing I pointed out is that the United States is in the minority worldwide when it comes to this practice. That's right, there's only a few dozen countries in the world that have this automatic use soli, and that is the automatic citizenship granted by birth on the soil and not by blood. And a lot of countries in Africa and Asia, they insist that you have blood relatives in a country before you're automatically granted citizenship. So of course, the shocking development in all of this is that, surprise, surprise, according to Matt Whitlock, a Republican communicator, is that the Texas hospital advertising childbirth services at the U.S.-Mexico border is a 340B hospital. What does that mean? Well, it means our tax dollars are subsidizing this advertising campaign for birth tourism to illegal immigrants. That's right. This billboard apparently has been taken down, according to Greg Abbott. And that billboard said that people can have my baby in Texas.com. So this was shut down, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott called it out. But this is a very convenient thing because Texas, as we know, has been very welcoming to foreigners around the world, whether it's H-1B visas or in a lot of cases, people question the actual immigration and deportation enforcement efforts. Hasn't been moving fast enough for some, and there's still a lot of, quite frankly, foreign workers in Texas right now. And all of this has driven up rents, driven up house prices, made it unaffordable for young people to make a living. So if you want to know why the affordability crisis is so bad, take a look at all those Democrats that want to abolish ICE. That is the reason why we're having an affordability crisis. Blame the rogue judges who continuously interfere with deportation efforts. in America. They are the reason your affordability crisis is worsening. And this is all intentional. It is a Cloward and Piven strategy. The Democratic Socialists of America have effectively compromised the Democratic Party, and they are intentionally trying to foment an insurrection in the United States. They're trying to overthrow the U.S. government, the empire as they call it. Not my words, their words. You can go look it up on X. I've reposted a number of things there at Kyle and A. Becker for you to look at. That's beside the point, because we're talking about this birthright citizenship and anchor baby issue. That's right, birth tourism. It's a threat to national security, and if we cannot put a stop to these types of exploitation of America, then we're going to lose our country. It's really that simple. And so I urge you to share this story with those of you who are concerned about this. And to get the latest news about this, please subscribe to the Becker Brief. I'll do the best I can to get you breaking news throughout the day and some commentary on what is going on. And so, at the bottom line of this is Trump is very much trying to get this back to the Supreme Court. But that's a long shot at this point. It's going to take a constitutional amendment now to clarify this issue according to the Supreme Court issue. So this is a very disturbing turn of events. And so it's going to take legislation to end the means of exploiting this birthright citizenship Trojan horse. So weigh in with your thoughts after this story. We always appreciate hearing from you at the Becker Brief.